Good morning. Welcome to Boardroom Media. We're joined once again by the CEO of XM Markets, Peter McGuire, and to do the xm.com weekly market update. And we're also joined today by Soulla Chamberlain, who is the co-founder and director of Star Anise Whole Food Organics. Soulla, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, Pete, we'll do a quick wrap of the markets and then we'll move on to some other topics today.
Sure.
Aussie, the inflation rate came out 6.1% this week, which was expected, probably not quite as high as what the analysts were saying, but still, it's a big number.
It certainly is. And when you see it on that chart, Andrew, you know, running from 3 to 3.5, 5.1, 6.1, where does it end? You see 8 there. Are we there by September, October? With the current acceleration, there's every chance you might be. So we'll see what the RBA is prepared to do as far as rates, but I'm sure that they're looking at that number very aggressively.
Yeah, and I know the government, I think they're speaking today about the economic update. They're painting a pretty grim picture at the moment, which is probably fair.
Yep.
But yes, the RBA, clearly they will raise interest rates again. Now, whether or not that's going to be 50 or 75 points, or 100 maybe, but it's certainly heading in that direction.
Yep.
What we did see on the back of this, though, was we saw, this is just a monthly chart of the Aussie dollar. So we have seen a little bit of support there. So whether or not that's on the back of the expectation of higher interest rates or maybe the US dollar slightly weaker, but it has come off its lows.
Yes, it has, and there's been plenty of movement, and that just demonstrates, I think, one thing for sure, the huge volatility and whipsawing that we've been experiencing in the last couple of weeks. Great time for trading, and that's what we all want, movement.
Yeah, and I guess that 70-cent barrier is probably a little bit of a barrier to overcome. So
a little bit of a psychological hurdle.
It is. Interest rates obviously can help push that up, but I think the bigger driver there is particularly commodity prices from an Australian perspective, and they're fairly weak at the moment. So if they were to rebound, obviously that would support the dollar a bit.
For sure, absolutely.
I think we'll quickly move into the US market. Obviously the inflation rate there, another big number, and overnight, obviously the Fed
75 basis points. Yep. I went out there the other day and I thought that I'm on the 15% that wanted to see, or thought there could be 100 basis points. So we came in at 75. I want to see what they're prepared to do in September. And the general rhetoric coming from Fed Chair Powell was, you know, pedal to the metal, and they've got to manage that number at 9.1. They're in a worse situation significantly than what Australia is at 6.1. So at 9.1, are we at 10 come September?
Because they don't do they not have a meeting in August?
I don't believe so. I don't think, well, they don't set any rate rises in August. They were waiting until that 26, 27 two-day event for the Fed in July.
Yes.
We've put that to bed now, and that really is well, that's a worrying thought, because I think that with the momentum to the upside, crude hasn't come back, are we 10 plus?
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Just quickly, earnings season in the States, obviously, the big tech companies, they actually rallied pretty well overnight. So Apple, we've got a couple of interesting charts here. One is how Apple is performing, where it's holding up pretty well. I've got another couple of charts to come up where some of the other big tech companies are not performing as well. But going off that one, Apple is really hanging in there.
It certainly is, been extraordinary and performed very, very well. So it's just demonstrating again, if you're looking at that tech sector, you've got to be share specific, and some of them have just had outstanding results over the last 90 days. Will that continue? Inflation, retail sales and all corporate growth. Q3, I'm looking forward to seeing how that performs.
Yeah, as you say, big stocks, big numbers. Yeah. Alphabet, probably not as good, but they're still hanging in there. I think the next chart I'll go straight to, which is the opposite end of the scale, which is Meta, which is severely underperformed. Now, once again, they had a really good uptick last night, but looking at the previous charts and these ones, obviously a bit of a different game here for Meta.
Well, exactly, and it's, if you're long stock, I mean, you know, we want a trading mindset, and we're going to come into that very interestingly with Soulla and what we're going to discuss from that that framework, how different opportunities present themselves. And really, when you're looking at something like Meta, some of these stocks have been incredible to go short on. And it's just absolutely game on.
I guess don't get caught out. No. If the market turns when you're short, that's always a dangerous play.
Yes.
Just finishing off crude, once again, this is just a monthly chart. So sort of heading in that southerly direction at the moment. Whether or not that's continues, time will tell. But it's an interesting sort of chart there to give us an idea of where it's at the moment.
Yeah, and for all the traders out there, keep a very close eye on natural gas because it's had a huge move, about 60% move in the last 2.5 weeks to the upside, and I think that's the one to really keep a close eye on over this Northern Hemisphere summer and leading into winter.
Very much so, yeah. So that's a quick market wrap this week. We want to move on. Soulla, welcome. Great to have you here. So I think just to give us if you want to give us an overview of a little bit about your background, what you do in this sort of health and wellness space and how that affects us in a whole range of ways, but also how that can affect people in the financial markets and from a trading perspective.
100%. So a bit of background about me. I'm the founder of a whole foods brand, Star Anise Organic Whole Foods, which I established in 2010 following a series of health crises. And then I founded its bricks and mortar retail store, Broth Bar and Larder in Bronte, Sydney, Australia. I'm also a real and traditional foods cooking instructor, a health coach, a mum, and before I had kids, I was a corporate lawyer for 10 years at Freehills, where I started my career. So I want to talk about the 8 secret superpowers that traders can utilise to take their performance in all areas of their life, really, to a whole new level. And I call these the 8 foundations of health. And they're essentially the pillars, some people call them lifestyle choices, that underpin and influence our capacity to function optimally and perform our best in daily life. So just like the foundations of a house, there's certain prerequisites that are just so fundamental to the building and functioning of our species, without which we just simply don't perform as well or for as long. So, if you think about it, why is it that some traders, some people crash and burn while others don't? And some would say, oh, that's just genetics. But genetics only account for part of the answer, because we see siblings, even twins, who share exactly the same genetic makeup, have vastly different health and performance profiles. So the answer lies really in their lifestyle choices, these 8 pillars that switch our genes on and off for better or for worse. And yes, it's true that some people are blessed with what I call a high genetic health bank account from birth. But if you're constantly making withdrawals from that health bank account and not making any deposits, positive lifestyle choices, you're going to start burning through savings at a really frightening rate.
So true.
So the 8 pillars or foundations of health are, and I'll just list them. Number 1, nutrition, so what you eat. Number 2, hydration, what you drink. Then you've got movement, sleep, breath, mindset, fun, play, connection, and lastly, the environment where you spend most of your time, indoors versus outdoors. So just looping back to the first one, nutrition. So the key here is really eating a nutrient-dense or nutrient-rich diet. Our body runs on nutrients, vitamins and minerals. We've evolved over 2.6 million years to eat a nutrient-dense omnivorous diet of whole, unprocessed foods. So we want to really just ditch all the processed foods, the packaged foods, the cheap takeout foods, and especially ditching, your white refined sugars, white refined flours, your industrial seed oils and trans fats like your margarines, canola, cottonseed, vegetable oils. These things are really alien and toxic to the human body. They create inflammation, which leads to disease. And your refined starches cause those insulin spike and crashes, which affect cognition and performance, and not to mention the weight gain around the girdle. Yep. Nutrient-dense food, on the other hand, with ample fats and proteins, what the body needs to run optimally. It provides a slow, steady rate of energy throughout the day, so you don't get those insulin spikes and crashes, and you just feel stable. When you feel stable, you can make good decisions. Now, a really good general rule of thumb is if your great-grandmother didn't recognise it, don't eat it. Yep. So what was your great-grandmother eating? Pastured meats, wild fish, fruit and veg, nuts and seeds, eggs, bone broth, and depending on the continent she was living in, full-fat dairy. Okay, so I believe the diet's a really huge one. If you nail the diet, I think you're 90% there.
Yeah, very true. I mean, when you're thinking about traders, what they're doing, we've got an audience all over the world, and it's so conscious as far as what people put into their mouth, how they action themselves and the decisions they make. Are they making them when they're tired, or are they making them they're fully engaged and appreciative of how their body's performing? because it's as stressful as you've been around traders long enough, Andrew. Prop desks all over Asia. It's a high energy game, mental. It's really game on. And these traders, we've got 6.5, 7 million across the world. And these people are making valued decisions about their own prop desk, their own valued decision, what's going to happen, and am I successful, and we've got to stack the cards as best we can to get someone to make the right decisions. Please, Soulla, keep on going.
Yeah, so nutrition's highly underestimated. So the second one is hydration. So drink plenty of filtered water with a pinch of unrefined salt, so sea salt, pincalate salt, to remineralise the water and keep that water in your cells. So a good tip, have a big jug of water on your desk or series of water bottles, carry them with you everywhere, and really ditch all the energy drinks, the soft drinks, the juices, excess coffee, excess alcohol. They've got to go. They affect cognition negatively. And then you've got movement. So if you can engage in 1 hour of conscious movement a day, we're designed to move and not be sedentary, sitting stooped over at a PC. So if you are sitting down, just be really mindful of your posture. Correct posture is going to create more oxygen to the brain, better decision making. And Andrew, do you know what the best exercise is?
What do I say, walking?
The best exercise is the one you'll keep doing.
Right.
Okay, but if you can get in some cardio and some strength training 3 to 4 times a week, that's perfect. Really great for endorphin release and brain function, along with all the other physiological benefits that exercise provide. And then you got sleep. This is a really big one. Most of us are probably, very sleep deprived. So if we can aim for 7+ hours of sleep a night, traders who work through the night are really affecting their circadian rhythm, which is your natural sleep-wake cycle.
And decision making.
And decision making, not to mention all the blue lights coming out from the tablets and the screens and the overhead light that disrupts melatonin, which in turn disrupts sleep. And we know that chronic sleep deprivation leads to type 2 diabetes and has the same effect on cognition as excess alcohol. So massively affects decision making. The next foundation of health is your breath. So here, breathing in clean air. So want to ditch all the artificial fragrances, cigarette smoke, all of that. So breathing it in through your nose and deep into your belly. That's going to oxygenate your brain for sharp mental focus. And nothing signals to your body that it is calm and safe better than your breath, okay? And when you're calm, you can then make better decisions. Then you got stress management and mindset. So really here, it's about adopting a positive mindset and managing your stress by being mindful of how you respond to life. So chronic stress takes its toll on the body and the brain. It, eats up brain cells. It affects your judgment, okay? Fun, play, connection. So I know trading is serious business, but don't forget we're hardwired to have fun, play, and connect deeply with others. So really find a like-minded tribe. We are relational creatures. So having fun and playing doesn't mean partying hard. It means taking the time to enjoy life and do the things that bring you lasting joy.
Sure.
And last but not least, number 8, being mindful and cognizant of where you're spending most of your time, the environment in which we're spending most of our time. So we've evolved to work, live and play outdoors, not indoors, in a built environment, in artificial light. So take every opportunity to spend as much time as possible outdoors, in nature, in sunshine. So eat your lunch outside, trade outside on your tablets and your iPhones. Swim, walk, bask in sunshine, jump in the ocean. So these are just very broad brush overview of the 8 foundations and 8 pillars of health, and just a gentle reminder to really fortify your self-care routine to lay a super strong foundation of health, to build strong physical and emotional resilience and sharp mental focus. And it's all the little things that you do each and every day that add up to make a profound impact on the quality of your life.
Yep, I agree 100%.
Great tips. I think the standout there, obviously they're all very important, there's no doubt about that. Sleep, where we've got 24-hour markets, particularly the traders, they are getting up.
Especially Sydney.
Yeah, so
where we're based
you might be based here, but you might want to, say, trade the US market. So you've got to be up
11 or 7,
yeah,
mate.
Exactly.
That's
so
PM to AM.
That sort of comes into play a lot, which can obviously, if you're more tired, it does affect you. So, and another interesting one there, which is probably counterproductive in the financials, I suspect, is the fun play, where it's about not going hard on a lot of entertainment.
Yes.
Which is exactly what the financial markets, the way of the world sort of thing, particularly in the older days where it was, go hard. So, but all very, very great points, Soulla. We're going to dive into these a lot more in the coming weeks and months. So we'll get you back onto the show, which will be fantastic. So we can drill into each one in a little bit more detail, as I said, as we move through the program. So, but I think that's a great wrap. So thanks for coming in.
Pleasure.
A good intro, a good overview of what you do. So that's been fantastic. Pete, thanks again.
Oh, Andrew, look, it's always a pleasure, and we're going to look after people. That's I think our mission statement. If anything from the top down, it's all about people.
Excellent.
And if we can give something back to the community and bring someone in as far as an expert like Soulla to present this across the global platform, then that's hand on heart, we're doing the right thing by humanity, because all these people, I've worked for billionaires, and normally what happens is the bigger the bank balance, the more mean they are, and the more unkept, and everyone just seems to, it's not a plus. No. So get that little things in order, and that can be a lot more fun for your life and the way you operate.
Great. All right. Well, once again, thanks both of you for joining us here on Boardroom Media, and that is the XM.com weekly market wrap.